Hello, everybody. My name is Hutch Johnson, a meteorologist here, and I'm here to go over some wintry weather that plans to line up and take aim on the nation, as we're expecting the Rocky Mountain West and the West Coast to see areas of very heavy snow. The Northern Plains returns to winter in multiple blasts of winter weather, and it's beginning tonight, and there's a risk of severe weather as well. We're going to get to the latest with a start and a look at what's going on right now, including a snow squall warning for the East Coast. Let's get right to it on the radar. Here we go as we take a look at that national picture. First, we see the risk for severe weather for tomorrow in the deep south. We're talking Austin, Texas, San Antonio, towards the Houston area, and Bay City, as we will have a risk for some strong to severe thunderstorms there. We do have some fire weather concerns near the nation's capital. Here's the snow squall warning in white for a band of very heavy snow. Brief whiteout conditions from this storm system as it's working its way through the region. Here is the details on that. It expires in 10 minutes. These snow squalls are usually short-lived, but it's dangerous. 35-mile-per-hour movement basically through the S.B. Elliott State Park area at the was the location of that snow squall. So it could be very difficult to see. You can get some brief whiteout conditions from that. We also have some snow making its way through parts of the Northeast. Another snow squall warning here. It looks like this is for a band of lake effect style snow moving in towards Rochester as well in upstate New York. So be aware of that for our neighbors in northern and upstate New York, including north central Livingston County, New Orleans County, Genesee County, as well as Monroe County and Ontario County, a very large area under the effect or influence of a snow squall warning, while we have winter storm warnings taking place in northern and eastern Maine. Now, here is round one and round two of snow making its way through the Dakotas. A little weak clipper system making its way through right now, but moving out of Calgary, Alberta through northeast Montana is the main event for Thursday. This is going to bring some measurable snow, a little bit of wind as well to the northern plains. But it's what's happening out on the west coast that has us concerned, as we are going to see some significant weather making landfall in the Pacific Northwest. There are winter storm watches already in place for the Sierra Nevada, and this storm system is expected to begin Friday morning through late Sunday. That's the timing, and we're talking 3 feet of snow, says the National Weather Service, and 45-mile-per-hour winds. So big-time snow in the elevated terrain. And I'm afraid we're going to see some big-time snow all the way up to Snoqualmie Pass in Washington State, outside the mountains of Bend, Oregon, as well as the northern plains once again. Let's take a look at a forecast model here, shall we, as we rock this system. We'll take a look first at what we're expecting to take place in the south with the severe weather threat as we go into the day for your Friday. Now, Thursday. Here we go. This model, let me go ahead and pull up the most recent one. We'll let this transpire through. And as we go through the day, we can time out when we're expecting the onset of storms. So cloudy, unsettled weather as we go through your day. Let me pull up the time bar for you here on the top line. There it is. So in the morning hours, not too bad on our Wednesday as we head into the day on, well, it does look like we'll see those chances of storms rumbling through fairly quickly and swirling around. I'll time that one more time for you here and kind of rock back and forth with it. So we see the onset of storms right here on this particular model near Houston, Bay City, the Woodlands, and heading into the hills, Lake Charles, and the coastal areas of the Mississippi Delta near New Orleans impacted there. Let me look at one other model just for giggles, because sometimes these models can be vastly different. This one is updated hourly. I'm going to take it back to one that goes out into tomorrow's time frame a little bit more. We'll get some more timing from this particular model. Similarly, it's showing the greatest risk for the storms to be on the eastern edge of this area of concern, from Houston, Sugar Land, all the way to Victoria, Texas, and off into places like Lake Charles, Louisiana, as the storms work their way through. The timing on these is looking like they will be morning fires into the afternoon and then spread into the Gulf, with some afternoon development again in the heat of the day and evening out towards Austin, Bowman, Waco, Texas. So we'll keep our eyes on that risk for severe weather there. Now let's pull up the model with the snow bands, shall we, and take a look at this system working its way through the northern plains. For tomorrow, it's a Thursday, Friday system. Well, if you don't know me, my name is Hutch Johnson. I'm a meteorologist. I've been doing this for 30 years, broadcast meteorologist for the better part of 30 years, with 20 years in the classroom teaching college kids meteorology and some research experience as well at the NOAA labs in Boulder, Colorado. Now, here's a look at our forecast as we go through the next 24 hours to 48 hours in the northern plains. We'll have some showers of snow that dissipate tonight, but then moving out of Montana near Glasgow, here it comes. Look at the snow, heavy at times, developing in the Rocky Mountains of western and northern Montana outside Shelby, Great Falls, and Havre. Also up near the capital and Great Falls. So we have winter storm watches and warnings there. As we look in on that warning, how much snow are they fixing to estimate up in Glacier? It looks like, 5 to 10 inches at lower elevation, but at higher elevation, upwards of 25 inches or even higher at the Glacier National Park area. 45-mile-per-hour winds, no fun driving over the Continental Divide there. Now, the snow bands start as we go through the afternoon and evening hours on Thursday, pushing their way across Montana into North Dakota, moving through Bismarck through the mid-afternoon drive time areas and passing into Fargo, then Minneapolis as well. This system's going to do widespread 1 to 3 inches of snow in the lower elevations here in the Dakotas, but we'll have pockets of upwards of 6 to maybe as many as 7 inches of snow in a few places. Now, the main event. This one begins as we head into the weekend, as we showed you, and it begins on the West Coast, but it's going to have national impacts. So to do that and to look at that, we're going to take a look at more of a global model and take a look at the timing of this particular system. I'll go ahead and turn off some of the watches and warnings that we have in place. You have a better view of what we will be seeing with this system as it works its way through. Let me turn off the overview of the severe weather outlook as well for the deep south. Now, again, we will have national impacts to wintry weather and a wave of storm systems making their way in off the west coast and pushing their way through the nation's midsection and even the east coast behind me. So let me know where you're watching from. Barbara is joining. Thanks so much for joining. Mary joining as well. Good to have all of you on board. If you have a question, let me know. But feet of snow will be possible from these storm systems. And here it is, a low pressure system spinning its wheels. I'm rocking it back and forth off the coast of Oregon. Now it makes landfall, and here we start to see the snow blossoming as we go into the Friday and Saturday time frame. So we're talking about snow that lasts for a good day or two in the elevated terrain of the Sierra Nevada, all the way up into the Bend, Oregon area, as well as the Snoqualmie Pass area north of Yakima, east of the Seattle-Tacoma area. As we go into the mountains of Missoula, Montana and Butte, we're going to see some very heavy snow potential there as well. Now, that low pressure center will form a low in the central Rockies near Wyoming and Colorado, and that will move on to the plains. And we are expecting some big time snow to take place as this system works its way into places in South Dakota, particularly along the North Dakota, South Dakota border and into the Twin Cities. Now, the elevated terrain in the Rocky Mountains of the desert Southwest, so Nevada, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming will all benefit from some snow, as will Nevada, as we go into the weekend time frame. So this gets started as we get into Saturday with light snow there, and then heading into Sunday, the main event happens, and it lasts all day Sunday here with rain and thunder chances. And I do think there may be the risk for some thunder snow, thunder sleet, and intense bands of icy precipitation across South Dakota and southern Minnesota. And Iowa, you could get some strong thunderstorms out of this system that sneak their way down into Kansas City. Now, there's no outlook from the Storm Prediction Center yet, but because this low pressure system will have a lot of lower level spin to it and the upper level winds going in an opposite direction, there's going to be some rotation of columns of air in the atmosphere. So we could have some interesting central plain storminess as we go through the afternoon of the 24th. That's Sunday. Now, this snow event lasts Saturday, light snow for the northern plains. There'll be heavy snow on Saturday out in the Rocky Mountain West, including the West Coast. And there you go. It lasts all the way into Monday. There's Monday, and then all the way into Tuesday before it rapidly exits up into parts near Thunder Bay in Canada. In the meanwhile, as it's working its way on Monday and into Tuesday, that storm system, the cold front of which will bring a much colder pool of air to the southern plains, and that will initiate some very heavy rain potential in the southeastern United States, the Ohio River Valley, and all the way down into, the Florida Panhandle as that system works its way out. That will exit off to the East Coast as we head out toward the early part of your work week next week. This is looking at the 27th, which gets us into the middle of the week. Look what's making landfall. Another storm system. That's right. So it looks like an active pattern that carries us into the Easter week And as we get toward the Easter weekend, here you're looking at the 28th, which is Good Friday, and another wave of wintry or unsettled weather will work its way through with another West Coast system. A very active pattern indeed making its way in. Now, let's take a look at a couple of models for snowfall amounts, shall we, as we break this down for you so you can see. Now, I've already showed you some of the warned areas up in the elevated terrain of the Sierra Nevada expecting feet of snow. Now let's take a look at elsewhere across the nation as we look at the European model that goes out, and we're not talking about the Easter weekend stuff, just this upcoming weekend as we go through the 23rd, the 22nd, Friday the 22nd, all the way into Tuesday the 26th as that storm system makes its way through the Rockies and the northern plains. So here we go. There's the storm system, boom, working its way through and bringing the heavy snow to Minnesota. This one could bring whiteout conditions. There is a lot of wind with it. There is that line of sharp, severe weather that could potentially develop in the plains, and we could have some icing with this. It does look like it could impact air travel in the northern plains. We're talking Sioux Falls, Minneapolis, possibly Denver, but right now the track of this one being more north means, well, Cheyenne, Billings, Montana, those areas will have higher impacts. Could it affect Chicago? Let's carry it through just a little bit further. It looks like rain and thunder for that area. That really will not impact the Chicago or Windy City area with much snow. How much are we talking with this particular model? Let's go ahead and take a look from the European model standpoint. And I do want to say this is a global scale model. Global scale models have big grids, and big grids means that it makes it look like there's a huge area impacted by big snow. Take it with a big grain of salt, but it does give us some guidance on the potential for snowfall. Now, this is through the Tuesday timeframe. Notice the big bullseye in Minnesota and the Dakotas as this system works its way out of the Rockies. Anywhere you see red colors on this, including the Northeast, very wintry weather through early next week for you, and it's beginning now. And right now, we're beginning to see impacts in the Dakotas. This system showing a lot of red up there. Heavy snow and wind is going to make its way through Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and even Tuesday across the region of the northern plains. And the Rockies, at the elevated terrain where you see all the red pockets, those are areas of deep snow. Now, I'll put my cursor over the top and you'll get an idea of some of the snowfall amounts that this model says may be possible. And there could be well over a foot in the eastern part of the Dakotas into central and northern Minnesota. Now, we could have snow that starts out in southern Minnesota and then it changes over to rain for you. And that will be a slushy, not fun travel trouble kind of thing. Mike, thanks for joining. Looks like southern Minnesota may get all 4 seasons next week. Yes, indeed. You could get snow first, then rain, maybe even hear some thunder as well. So it does look like a little smorgasbord of wintry weather in the northern plains. So heavy snow there. The Sierra Nevada, as we go in, we're going to see some spots, including that I-80 corridor pass through the Truckee area. Look out. Some of the models have, again, another 40-inch snow event for that area. It does look like it will be prolonged as well. In Oregon, the mountains there standing to see well over a foot as well based on the model output. Some peaks could see 2 or 3 feet as forecast by the National Weather Service offices in these areas. And you get into the the Cascades, we're looking at heavy snow amounts there too, in places and passes over the mountains. How about Colorado? As we look at the northern Rockies there, several inches of snow will be possible, from 6 to 15 inches, according to the European model here. So it does look like some snowy events taking place. I can zoom into some regional areas just to show you a little bit more. Let's go ahead and take a look at the snowfall potential in the Sierra Nevada as these waves of snow move through. You can get the timing here. I show you at the top. Friday night, it begins snowing in earnest. I don't know anybody earnest, but in earnest. A lot of snow happening for quite a while, all the way from that Friday time frame through. It looks like it stops adding up here as we get into the time frame on Monday. Monday looks like the end of it. And as we look in a little closer, we see some pockets here with 20, 25 inches of snow. We'll carry a look at the Canadian model. Hutch kind of likes the Canadian model too. Canada knows snow, elevated terrain, a lot of moisture coming up here. And look at this, the elevated terrain picking up anywhere from 20 to 40 inches. And again, the National Weather Service saying 3-4 feet of snow in places, 4 times 12, 48 inches. Yeah, it could be a snowy thing there. Hi, Candy. Good to see you on board. Let me know where you're watching from. Aspen says Bismarck, North Dakota, capital city of North Dakota. Good to have you on board. Well, let's see. Marcer, D-Y-L Marcer. Hutch bragging to everyone in Nashville, and I didn't fire up the snowblower once. I'd apologize. I had the problem. Oh, yeah. My snowblower has not gotten a workout here in the Fargo-Moorhead area of the Northern Plains. All right. How about the mountains of Colorado? Let's take a look at your area, shall we, real quick? The storm system that's making its way through the Northern Plains. We can't really see all of the mountains here very well, but there they are. Now, if you're in the Denver area, this system is not as impactful for you, okay, as the last one. Why? Because the low is tracking farther north. The upslope will be farther north, but the mountains and the west-facing slopes of the mountains will have a great chance to pick up some enhanced snowfall, anywhere from 6 inches to a good foot or more of snow at the elevated terrain. Here you can kind of see that in northern Nebraska, well, you can kind of see, let me see. Yeah, that definitely is showing some northern Nebraska snow, upwards of 5 inches to 10 inches of snow there. South Dakota, though, you look to be the big winners in this particular storm event as we go through into the weekend. Let's go into the Dakotas, shall we? Now, wave 1 comes tonight and into the day tomorrow, Thursday into Friday. That's your wave 1. That's Alberta Clipper. We could see some pockets of 5 inches or more of snow. Look at Iowa down here. That's a pretty hefty pocket of snow indeed. Get your snow blowers all waxed up, your shovels waxed, have them ready to go. Make sure you test start them too, because if they've been sitting there like mine, you got to give the thing a pull and see what happens. Now, as we go through the weekend, Sunday, the main event starts hitting the Dakotas. Look at this. Anywhere along that I-94 corridor through North Dakota, the I-90 corridor through South Dakota into the Twin Cities, we could see some very heavy snowfall potential there. Upwards of 8 inches appear to be likely for some. Remember what I said. These global models tend to, because they use a bigger grid, they make it look like a huge area of snow is going to fall everywhere. This is not going to happen. It's not going to be this widespread area of a foot or more of snow. What we'll likely see is a couple of enhanced bands that will be a foot or more of snow. And looks like from this particular model run, that's going to happen in the areas that you see in red. And then the snow just continues as the low moves northward. Watch this. Whoop. Oh, it gets worse. Yeah, that's right. As the low drifts north, straight along the South Dakota, central Minnesota border, we could see some localized areas with some redonkulous amounts of snow. It will come with a lot of wind as well. We in the Northern Plains are bracing for some mighty wintry weather. Now, there's another model on here. We could show the American model as well. Why not? We're in America. Let's take a look at the American model. So we've looked at 3 models, carrying them through the weekend and into early next week, and it's showing that the Dakotas, the Northern Plains, Minnesota, all being impacted, even into northern parts of the state of Nebraska. Montana seeing heavy snow, as will the Rockies. How about the East Coast? Let's not forget about you. If I can not forget about you. I'm going to have to reload the page. Sorry, I got click happy. Let's get unclicker happy. Go here. Okay, let's open this puppy. Now, let's take a look at this model guidance, shall we, for the East Coast. I'm going to try to get a new map. Try not to get too clicker happy here. Let's look at upstate New York. Now, you've got systems there now that are dumping copious amounts of snow thanks to that good old lake effect. You got some snow squalls going through. Here's your first main event. That comes in on, well, Friday night, Saturday morning. Rain for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York, Long Island getting wet, right? And then as we look up into Maine, heavy snow. You got a warning for that. Then as we go through time, here comes the next wave. And it does not arrive until, well, it doesn't look too bad there on the American model for the Northeast, unless we're talking about the weekend time frame, Friday through Sunday, and that'll be the main event for you. And with regards to severe weather in the Southern Plains, let's take a peek at that. There could be some strong thunderstorms that form in the south central United States, working their way through. That's tomorrow. We showed you that at the beginning of the video. You can go ahead and watch that again. And then as we go into next week, here comes another wave associated with that big low that dumps all the snow. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Looks like a good chance of some strong thunderstorm potential and linear type storms making their way through the southeast with that cold front as we go into the early part of next week, Sunday night, into Monday, again on Tuesday. So we could be seeing some more heads up about those kind of events there. All right, that's a look at what we have going on right here. My name is Hutch Johnson. I'm a meteorologist. I love having your feedback. Look at all the feedback I'm getting. It's good to see your questions. Candy, good to have you in from Fargo. Steve says, have I started my car yet? Yes, the car at my One of the cars has been started. All right, well, let's talk about that. And no, it hasn't been the Chevelle. Thanks, Tammy, for joining. I appreciate all of you. Again, I love to have the likes. I love your comments and ideas. And if you have questions, drop them here. That's one of the beauties about these interactive weather situations. I get to ask or hear questions from you or ideas from you and carry that forward. So we'll get you back to your regularly scheduled programming. But for now, I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I hope you have a wonderful evening tonight as we dive into spring with winter weather blasting through the northern plains, beginning round one tonight in the form of Alberta Clippers into Thursday, and the main event working its way from the west coast right through the nation as we go into the early part of next